Live from your trusted local news source, KCRG News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here on streaming for your 6 o'clock news. My name is Becky Phelps. Our top story today is something that has been impacting communities across the country. No Kings rallies have been held throughout the day today. More than 2,500 protests were planned across the United States. These come as immigration and customs enforcements ramp up and are also a response generally to the Trump administration. CNN's Jen Sullivan reports on the national protests.
Thousands of protesters gathering in cities across the U.S. Saturday to protest the Trump administration's policies that they claim are authoritarian.
I want all of America to realize that the Declaration of Independence was about no kings, about our personal liberties, about free press.
It's very powerful to be here right now.
The demonstrations were dubbed No Kings protests. Marches happening against the backdrop of a government shutdown and tensions over immigration raids to crack down on illegal immigration. ICE raids in Chicago leading to weeks of protests, including this outside an ICE detention center Friday in Broadview, Illinois.
We have masked goons roaming the streets, hiding their faces, abducting people.
It's un-American, you know what I mean? It's just straight up anti-American.
Protesters say they are also frustrated by recent National Guard troops being deployed to Democratic-led cities despite local leaders pushing back. The Trump administration says the move is to help fight rising crime and protect federal personnel and property.
I believe it to be unlawful and unconstitutional. There is not a rebellion going on.
In June, similar rallies were held in cities across the country. Saturday's events, though, were even larger, with roughly 2,500 protests held coast to coast. Many Republican leaders condemning the rallies.
We refer to it by its more accurate description, the Hate America rally. You're going to bring together the Marxists, the socialists, the Antifa advocates, the anarchists, and the pro-Hamas wing of the far-left Democrat Party. That is the modern Democratic Party.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
And those protests happened again all across the country, including here in eastern Iowa. There were 22 protests across our viewing area. These are photos from the protests in Cedar Rapids. That was downtown along 8th Avenue, where like thousands of people gathered with signs, dressing up for the occasion. TV9's Jackson Valenti joins us now. Jackson, you were at a protest in Waterloo. Tell us, what was that like?
Protest in Waterloo was huge. It was probably the biggest protest I have been to in my time in eastern Iowa so far. The organizers say it was between 3,000 and 4,000 people. While I can't 100% verify that, there were at least thousands of people. Very big protests, very active. They had it very well planned in advance. We've seen a lot of protests over the past several months. I know that there's groups that do them every week along 8th Avenue that, you know, they come and go, and there's maybe a couple dozen to 100 people at those. This one, obviously, people were geared up for. I mean, weeks in advance, people knew this one was coming. Yeah. Huge protest. The numbers reflected that organizational effort there. A lot of speakers. They had a band there. They had a march around several blocks in downtown Waterloo back to Lincoln Park. But yes, very huge presence. It was pretty clear that the level of organization, the level of community involvement in this one is unlike what we've seen in the majority of these protests that have happened over the past couple months.
We're taking a look at some video from that protest, and this was in the afternoon, correct?
Yes, it was. This afternoon, we saw this protest from about 1 to 3. Yeah, very active. You're seeing the band there. They definitely knew how to get the crowd going, regardless of what politics were. This was a very active event. Like I said, a ton of people, a ton of energy. Speak a little bit more to that. What was the atmosphere like among these thousands of people? I would say, you know, in talking with a lot of people there, I talked to, you know, a good amount of people in my time there. I chatted with a ton of people, probably 4 or 5 people on camera, a bunch of people off camera. Everybody there has, and again, whether you agree with them or not, everybody there has very serious concerns. A lot of people said they're worried about the future of American democracy. A lot of the people are worried about America becoming a dictatorship. Again, whether or not you agree with those things is one thing, but obviously they have very serious concerns. Despite that, the energy was pretty overwhelmingly positive. Everybody I spoke with, none of them were leaving mad. Maybe some of them weren't happy with the way things are in the country, but nobody said that they were leaving angrier or more depressed than they were going into it at the very least.
Interesting. So kind of a sense of camaraderie among these people?
This is a chance, I think, for a lot of people to meet with friends, meet new people, make friends that way. I think a lot of people just like being out there for the crowd environment and the music. I mean, like I said, regardless of politics, a ton of energy there and a ton of things happening. I mean, over a very interesting thing to be at, regardless really of your point of view on it.
Now, we heard in that national story from Jen Sullivan some of the critiques of this No King rallies. When you talked to some folks in Waterloo, what was their response to that? You know, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson saying, you know, the people at these rallies hate America. What was their response?
Everybody there a lot of signs were aimed at that. A lot of people knew about those comments from Mike Johnson, from the vice president, you know, about this being like Hate America Day. A lot of people were aware of those comments going into this thing. And a lot of people said, I mean, hey, you know, a lot of people brought up like the Boston Tea Party, like this is an American thing. We protest, we're American, this is what we do. So they said, hey, you know, this is the way that we show being American. This is how we show our patriotism. So they were not happy about those comments pretty clearly. And they would say that they love America despite any concerns they might have about the state of America.
Interesting. So rather than the protests meaning they hate America, it makes them more American.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
Very interesting. All right. Thank you, Jackson, for joining us. We'll have more of that coverage coming up later tonight on the TV9 News at 10. Our next story is out of Cedar Rapids. TV9's Lacey Reeves visited a dog shelter, Dogs Forever, who's seeing a near capacity amount of animals, and they're needing help getting donations to feed all of those animals. We'll hear from Lacey now.
Dogs Forever in Cedar Rapids has some new faces this week. Dante, Fern, and Pixie. They're coming from Cedar Rapids Animal Care and Control, which is undergoing much-needed improvements.
So we've been going out there probably at least once a week and pulling at least one dog, depending on how much space we have.
Helping out means Dogs Forever is close to its capacity of 10 dogs at a time.
We're a smaller shelter, but they still need to be fed.
And that food can get expensive for the nonprofit. That's why it's asking for help during its food drive.
That cost for the year is like $5,000. So that's $5,000 that we can put for vet bills.
The shelter says it's important for all the dogs to eat the same type of food every day.
You don't want to switch their food in the middle of, you know, it's upsetting to their stomach. So we always just keep them on the same.
They're looking for this Nutrisource brand food. It needs bags of the large and small medium puppy and the adult chicken and rice recipe.
If we get a lot like this big old guy, they go through a lot more than the little tiny ones do. So our food drive usually keeps us going for the whole year.
If you'd like to donate, you can find more information on how to do so under the story on our website. In Cedar Rapids, Lacey Reeves, KCRG-TV9 News.
Lacey, thank you so much for that reporting. TV9's AJ Rickman will have a look at our forecast coming up next. Stay with us. And welcome back. TV9's AJ Rickman joins us now for a look at our forecast, which this morning, the fog, I just want to say, was unbelievable.
It was. I was driving to a visit up in Edgewood. It was a fantastic visit for one, if anyone from that Edgewood visit is watching. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for having me. But the drive up, you're right, the fog was insane. I was driving, had my low beams on. I was doing what I could to make myself visible, but still, there were cars that would come and I wouldn't see them till 100 yards before I passed them. So a little bit unnerving if you were on the road this morning.
I woke up without my contacts in, and my vision is not great. And I looked out the window and I was like, what's going on out there? Like, there's nothing out there.
Yeah, I had a similar situation. I stepped outside and I kind of looked around and was like, okay, this is crazy. Very, very foggy. My eyes were kind of trying to focus a little bit on the fog in front of me, a little bit behind me. Kind of a weird focusing effect that I sometimes have when it's really foggy. But yeah, very strange, very bizarre. But today, in general, once that fog did burn off,
gorgeous. Fantastic
day, absolutely. Really nice, and it was kind of a transition day. So we started off with those foggy conditions, then went to mostly sunny skies, and now we've transitioned to more of a mostly cloudy look as you look outside there. Independence, Cedar Rapids, Fayette, and Solon, all looking at mostly cloudy conditions, and really the rest of eastern Iowa is too. Reason for that is because we are looking at a disturbance that is building just off to our south, or rather passing by us to the south. And with that disturbance passing off to our south, as I take a minute to zoom out here and show you, the bulk of that rainfall, yeah, Missouri is getting hit pretty hard right now. They've got some really heavy rainfall, which for us would be good for a drought that's been trying to creep back in. But we are looking at mostly cloudy skies. The bulk of the rainfall to our south is going to stay to our south. But what we are keeping an eye on is this patch of showers over here by Spencer, Carroll, and Fort Dodge. That is going to be moving in from the northwest over the next several hours, and it's going to be leading to some shower and storm chances across our area through the overnight hours. Now, I did just want to point out one little area in Dubuque County. We, over the last half hour to an hour, did watch a cluster of scattered showers. Perhaps there was a rumble of thunder in there at one point that did develop just off to the west of Dubuque and has been tracking off to the east. But that's a very isolated area. Most of eastern Iowa, as you can see, is still dry. That is going to be changing, though, as we go through the rest of our night tonight. And again, one last broad view of those showers moving in. But right now, temperatures are fairly comfortable out there. If you do have any plans to be out this evening, a nice night for it, and possibly the last night for a little while that you might not need a sweater or a jacket as you're going to be going out there. I say that. Right now, you don't need a sweater or a jacket. Temperatures are going to be dropping as we go later into the night, because we do have a cold front that is in the process of pushing through. So it brings us those shower chances. So it's also bringing us some northwesterly winds. A little bit of a breeze going on anywhere from quieter conditions over in southeast Iowa, Maquoketa and Iowa City at 3 miles an hour. But the farther north and west you go, the windier you'll find it. 14 miles an hour in Waterloo, 18 in Tama. So that breeze is certainly there. It's going to lead to some cooler conditions for tomorrow. And you'll see through the night tonight. If you're out over the next couple of hours, again, you might not need that jacket or hoodie. As we get later into the night, probably going to need that jacket or hoodie, probably going to need the umbrella as well.
It feels like the time of year where you're just keep one in the car.
Yep.
Just in case. It's layers season.
It really is, yeah. Having that hoodie or jacket in the car, having the umbrella in the car, both of them, always a good idea. And it won't be too long before you're going to need to keep a coat in the car too.
Oh, don't. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Come on, AJ.
I had to say it because it is coming. But yeah, it's coming. It'll get here eventually. And for some, actually, chance for frost earlier or later this week. I'll have more on that in just a second.
Oh.
But something to keep an eye on over the next couple of days. So that frost is coming. Of course, it's time for it. But for tonight, no frost, but that rain is there. By 11 o'clock, scattered showers moving through. Chances there for a couple of rumbles of thunder. And by the time we get to early Sunday morning, that activity's moved off to the east. So it's fairly quick moving. And the good news for any weekend plans you might have, the rain moves through during the overnight hours. So unless you're going to be out late tonight, not really going to have much of an impact on you. And by early tomorrow morning, skies are already turning mostly sunny.
That is nice.
It is. And the rest of your day Sunday, if you've been waiting for a cool fall windy day to go to a pumpkin patch or do some kind of fall activities, maybe a corn maze, tomorrow's going to be your day for it. It's going to be fantastic out there. And we're going to keep quiet weather with plenty of sunshine around through the rest of your day Sunday. The one thing you will notice, and again, that's kind of part of it being fall, winds. Going to be out of the northwest. They're going to be gusty all through the night and through the day tomorrow as well. At times, especially during the middle of the afternoon around that 1 o'clock time frame, getting up to around 30 miles an hour for your wind gusts.
I was going to say 29 miles per hour?
Yeah, now that's going to be your wind gusts. So sustained winds a little bit lower than that, but still a pretty breezy day.
Wow.
Fairly normal for this time of year.
Definitely layer season.
Yes, definitely layer season. And with the temperatures we're going to have tomorrow, going to be layers season for that as well. So tonight, a little bit cool by the time we get to the end of the night and first thing tomorrow morning. Temperatures will start out in the 40s. So like you mentioned, good layering season, sweater season. But by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon, highs are only getting into the upper 50s and lower 60s, which is where we should be for this time of year. So it is normal in terms of temperatures, but in terms of how it's going to feel on our bodies, keep in mind earlier this week, our low temperatures were in the upper 50s and lower 60s. So our bodies are adjusted to and used to those milder temperatures. So this is going to be a little bit of a shock for folks who have been out there enjoying that warmer weather. Suddenly you get a cooler day, it's going to feel a little bit cooler out there.
There's something to that, because I look at that and I see 60s and sunny and I think, great. It's not, it's going to be a little...
It's going to be a little cool.
A little cooler than I think it is, huh?
It probably will be, yeah. Especially because, again, we're used to that warmer weather. It's been a very warm fall so far. So it's going to be a change. Now, it's going to be a nice day overall. I highly recommend getting outside to enjoy it. But it is going to be cool. So like you said, not a bad idea to have that sweater on standby just in case you need it, or that hoodie as we go through the afternoon. But overall, plenty of sunshine. Those winds are going to be there. It's October. It should be like this, and it's going to be like this for the next several days. Get ready for a windy start to your week. Monday, winds are out of the south, 20 to 30. Tuesday, they switch to the west at 20 to 30. And by Wednesday, Thursday, they're back to the northwest. So we get all that variety in our wind direction as storm systems pass by us. And that's exactly what we're going to see happen. By the time we get to Monday night, a disturbance passes to our north. It pulls a cold front through our area, and it brings a chance for some light scattered showers. Key words there, scattered and light. Not a huge impact, not a ton of rainfall at this point, as not what we're expecting. And then on Tuesday, again, the chance for some light scattered, low impact showers. And then the rest of the week, at this point, looking fairly dry. But what you will notice, much cooler weather. So we are going to get acclimated and adjusted to these cooler temperatures as we go through the week. By Monday, we get a little push of warm air as that disturbance does pass by us. But as that disturbance pulls the cold front through, cooler air comes in behind it. And this shot of cool air is expected to stick around for a good portion of the week. Now what that means for your temperatures in terms of actual numbers, frost for some.
I've been waiting here, like stressed and tense, waiting for you to say that. Oh,
yep.
No.
So
when's it coming?
So it's not going to be terrible. It's, again, that first frost arriving, the best chances for it that we're keeping an eye on now are Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
Okay.
That's going to be when we're looking at lows in the mid-30s across the area. Of course, the farther north you are, the cooler you'll find it. Some of those places could dip into kind of the lower 30s range. Now, this is still a couple days out, so check back for updates to the forecast. We'll be, of course, keeping everyone updated on how these temperatures evolve over the next couple of days. But it is certainly going to be cool out there, especially that Tuesday night, Wednesday night time frame. Keep an eye out for frost advisories. The National Weather Service will be issuing those if they're necessary. And you might need to cover some of those garden plants if you're trying to get just a little more growing season out of them, or bring in your potted plants too. But if you look beyond Tuesday and Wednesday, not getting a whole lot warmer, so we are finally getting into that cool fall weather, which means it's not going to be long before the growing season comes to an end. Not long after that, temperatures continue to fall, and, well, we all know what comes after that with winter.
So it's basically winter is what you're telling us.
Well, we're not to winter yet. We're not quite to winter yet. I mean, look at that 9-day, very nice weather.
At least there's a lot of sunshine there.
Oh yeah, a lot of sunshine. That shower chance, again, light and scattered on Tuesday, but a great time to get out this week. I highly recommend spending some time outside. I'm going to get out as much as I can, so really nice weather ahead in general. A little bit cooler, but normal for this time of year.
Nice fall weather.
Nice fall weather, exactly.
All right. Thank you, AJ. Jack will join us next with a look at sports. Stay with us. Welcome back. Jack joins us now with a look at sports. We are 20 minutes in to the Iowa-Penn State game.
Yeah.
Okay, and already I've heard we've got some action.
Yeah, we've got some action, and it's not looking good so far for Hawkeye fans as Mark Gronowski throws an interception on a third down play, a play in which he tries to fit it into a tough window to Jacob Gill, and it kind of gets punched out, but the Penn State cornerback, and then Penn State is able to pick it off. Zakai Wheatley credited with the interception, and then Penn State just drove it down the field. Actually, right before we got on the air, Penn State had it at the 1 yard line. It looked like Iowa was going to get the stop, but they were called for a penalty, and I'm reading this for the first time. It was offsides, half the distance to the goal, half the distance from the 1 yard line. That's just a half yard line. And Katron Allen, the future NFL tailback, just ran it up the middle. So it is 7-0 Penn State. Ethan Grunkmeyer, the backup quarterback for Penn State, he converted a 4th down and 4 scrambling for the first down. So Iowa defense kind of gets hit with a back-breaking play off the Iowa interception. Obviously not the start Iowa wanted, but Kinnick Stadium, from what I could hear, is loud. They nearly got that stop on 4th down.
You know, when you said that there was action happening, I was assuming it was positive. But there you go. Hopefully, second quarter, the rest of the game will go a lot better for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, this Penn State team, as we can see, they're warming up. They're playing with a certain level of edge and they don't have anything to lose, frankly.
What's their record right now?
This is a 0-3 Big Ten team, 3-3 overall. They lost their first 3 games, Big Ten games. First one was to Oregon. You could excuse that loss. Then they lost at UCLA. Then they lost at home to to Northwestern. And then they fired head coach James Franklin earlier this week. So this is a team that was competing for a national title early on this season. Obviously, you're not competing. It's all preseason expectations. But look at this team. That's Ethan Grunkmeyer, the backup quarterback, who is in for, by the way, Drew Aller, Penn State's typical starting quarterback, is out for the season. So this season is completely off the rails for Penn State. Aller was injured in last week's game against Northwestern.
What did you do to him?
What did you do to him? It's football, man.
Your Northwestern team.
Stuff happens. And interim coach Terry Smith, he was interviewed right before the game by Peacock's sideline reporter Caroline Pineda, and the question was, what do you say to your team after all that has happened? And Coach Smith, the interim head coach, didn't know he'd be coaching this team in this game until about a week ago. He said, we're going to empty the clip. And clearly this team is playing with nothing to lose. Iowa is still, obviously they were favored in this game for a reason. They're a talented team and they're playing at home. Are they the more talented team? I don't think so, but there's obviously a lot more stability with Kirk Ferentz in his 27th year versus Terry Smith coaching in his very first game.
Okay, well, we will have more on that during the halftime of that game. We will be back here live hearing from our reporter Colin Davies, who is out at Kinnick right now, so we will be back here at halftime.
Yeah, we'll be able to discuss all the stats from the game, what I'm seeing on the field, and as well as what Colin is seeing. We'll have a report from him.
Okay, earlier today, though, you were out in Cedar Falls.
Yeah, and you and I played a good game against South Dakota, but the Panthers lost 17-14, and Panther fans who were at the game or watching at home, they know we were so close to getting Todd Stepps' first Missouri Valley Football Conference win, and man, that win is going to feel so good for Panther fans. Let's take a look at the highlights. Here is Todd Stepps coming out onto the field. The MVFC is, I don't think it's even arguable, it's the hardest conference in FCS football. But you and I, after giving up an opening drive touchdown to South Dakota, was really solid on defense. There you see Jalen Petrus with a sack. South Dakota was held to 10 points in the first half. On offense, you and I was good but not great. They couldn't convert on this long pass that looked like it should have been pass interference. Matthew Sheckelman going deep to Aiden Price. No pass interference. And there you see Todd Stepps, clearly not very happy about that, giving the sideline official a piece of his mind and then yelling at the back judge that was pass interference. It was not. You and I eventually was able to score. This is Sheckelman to Briggs Houston. That's Houston's first career touchdown. That's a redshirt freshman who stands at 6'6", 250 pounds. So yeah, he's going to be a problem for the Valley in a few years. That's his first career touchdown, probably first of many.
Wow.
South Dakota does get a field goal at the end of the first half, so they get some momentum going into the halftime locker room. So at this point, it is 10-7 South Dakota. It's about to be 17-7. Look at this deep pass. They just fooled everyone, including yours truly. That's the Iowa State transfer, Aiden Bowman, going 67 yards to Lorenzo Fenner for the passing touchdown. 17-7 at this point. There was actually a really good showing of South Dakota fans, by the way. South Dakota gets stopped here. This was 4th down, and check out Coach Stepsis' reaction. UNI defense, that was Joe Hall, number 3, on the stop. They did great. They were honestly really solid, and we're going to talk about the positives from the UNI defense a little bit later. Here's another great defensive play by that man, Pettis, his second sack of the game. And UNI got the ball. They were down by 10. Remember, it's 17-7 with 8 minutes and 7 seconds to go. They drove it, but it took 6 minutes, and it ended with this. Max Bartachek, boink, hits the uprights, and that doesn't make it over, but it's pretty much over after that because you're down by 10 points. And even if you and I got the ball back, which they did end up getting the ball back, they scored. They couldn't recover the onside kick. Even if they could have recovered the onside kick, it was only a few seconds to go. Positives, USD averages 209 rushing yards per game. That's 14th in FCS. They were held to just 91 against UNI. Okay. Another big positive, South Dakota scores 24 points a game. They were held to just 17. UNI's defense was really the star of the show. The offense was good, not great. Big positive was Matthew Sheckelman didn't turn the ball over. He threw for 189 yards passing, 60 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns, and as I mentioned, no interceptions. Another stat that kind of stands out to me, it's simple on the stat sheet, it's total yards. USD, 293 total yards. UNI, 285 total yards. These teams looked dead even. You wouldn't know it. South Dakota, based on rankings, is ranked number 26th in FCS. That's based on the coaches' poll voting. They were the first team left out of the top 25. So this is a really good South Dakota team. And UNI, they're not getting any votes in the FCS coaches' poll, but they were right there with them. Kind of a heartbreaker for Todd Stepsis because you were so close, but it shows that this guy is building something, building a team that can compete in the MVFC. It was actually the closest game against one of the Dakota schools in 2 years. So FCS football, North Dakota, North Dakota State, South Dakota, and South Dakota State. Those 4 schools are powers. I believe one of those schools. So interesting. Isn't it, right? I believe one of those schools has won the national championship in FCS every year of the last 4 years or 5 years. Mark Gronowski, Iowa quarterback, won a championship with South Dakota State.
What's in the water in the Dakotas?
North Dakota State won it last year, and South Dakota is very good. But anyway, the last time it was this close, it was actually UNI beating North Dakota 27-0 in 2023. Since then, every time UNI has faced a Dakota school, it's pretty much been a blowout. So clearly Todd Stepsis is building something. Obviously, no moral victories in college football, but they're close. They're really close.
That field goal was hard to watch, but a good showing at least.
Good showing. They put up a late touchdown. 17-14 was your final score.
All right. Well, thank you, Jack. Again, we will be back here on streaming for the halftime of the Iowa game. And of course, you can join us for the regular studio news after the football game on ABC for the TV9 news at 10 o'clock. Until then, have a great evening.